in this video, I'm going to make something similar to this. Yeah, sure, you guys can see this. Yeah, I'm not going to talk a lot. Just going to do a lot of things in time lapse, and yeah. So, what's the first step in making something out from leather? You got to pick a piece of leather that fits your pattern. All right. So I need 2 pieces of this. The gusset, basically. 1 front panel. The back panel, which is huge. Ooh, okay. And 2 pieces of this. Ooh, yeah, guess I don't know whether you can see this. 2 of this. 1 of this. 1 of this. And 6 of these tiny little fellas. Yeah, my camera probably won't focus to this. Yeah. Anyway, so this is all the dark brown leather I've got left. So this is gonna have to fit only 2 pieces. Another piece here. Okay, all right. The rest of the video will be in time lapse. I may add in some interesting background music, or not. Not sure. Before I continue, the next part is actually to cut the leather. So, how do you cut leather? Well, with a knife, but a very sharp knife. So, we got to do some stropping first. Alright, and now we cut. You guys must be thinking, wow, that's a hell of a lot of cutting. Correct. Well, these here are some of the material I'm going to use for the straps and the damn, I forgot the term for it. The folded corners, the whatever. Anyway, I'm going to need more of these, so I'm going to have to cut more. And yeah, so I'll probably need another 1.3 meters of this, and this is what I'm going to continue to do. And you may be thinking, oh, the color looks rubbish, right? Okay, that's what you're going to see next. I have to dye all of this, every single piece. Okay, let's continue. Look at these. I cut a lot of items, right? Yeah, you've got all kinds of shapes, sizes. Oh, by the way, these need to be dyed too. Anyway, the big ones. Yeah, right. The biggest one, I don't know. Well, can't really see it. But I was left with a lot of scrap. So, small pieces. The big pieces too. Yeah. Leather crafting is rather wasteful to material. I do not know how much waste it is, but it could be 20%, 30%. Yeah. Anyway, just thought I'd share that. there are some preparations to do before dyeing. For example, like these pieces here, right? Actually not the exact shape that I want, so I need to do some additional finishing to it. But this guy is actually one of the best tools I bought. It's also one of the most expensive. Anyway, it helps me do set rivets and all that. For larger pieces, normally I will just use airbrush for it, and I've already used some double-sided tape to stick it onto a board. Yeah, it's a bit, what do you call that, the DIY looking, but well, results are good. And normally, if I can, I'll try to stick on the rest of my other smaller pieces that need dyeing to make sure that I get a more even look. Most important thing before you dye is wear some gloves. You see what happened to my fingers after I've done the airbrushing without remembering my gloves. So let's do the gloves. Okay, now that I'm safely gloved up, okay, hold on. Let's move that away. Let's look at some things that we are going to dye. See, you'll notice the length of this. I estimate for this project, I'm going to use about 3 to 4 meters of 1-inch leather for the straps and for the, I still cannot remember the term. Well. My brain's not working. Maybe I've been working too hard today. Okay, I'm going to start now. I'm just going to use a piece of cloth, dip it into the dye here, yeah. And then I'm just going to color every single piece of this so that it looks nice, even, and yeah, overall good. I've got to whisper because it's very early in the morning. Yep. Okay. What happened is last night we finished dyeing the leather, and I'm going to show you how it looks like now. Okay. See, these are all done. The small ones. Yeah. Not sure how they'll show. It's a little dark. No. Yeah, should be better now. Okay, here. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about the white balance and stuff. Just too too lazy to pull out any other things. Okay. Today we are going to apply what I call neat fruit oil. Let's see, let me get it out. This will help to make sure that the dyed leather is moisturized, feels good, and lasts a long time. Because what happens is that after you've dyed, especially for water-based or alcohol-based dye, some of the oils of the leather would be gone. And yeah, this is basically just to put some of the oil back. Yeah, sorry, my mind's not working really well today. Well, Still very early in the morning. Okay, now cue the time lapse. You may have noticed that I have also oiled the leather that I didn't dye. It's just to add a bit of oil onto it. Leather is a bit like a sponge, well, weak sponge. So especially a vegetable tan leather, basically, they will still absorb water as well as oil until they are finished. And let's see if I can show you this on the camera. Yeah, you can see that it's very splotchy right now. So I cannot do anything until the oil is at least absorbed into the leather, none of it on the surface, before I apply the finishing. And only after I apply the finishing I can continue making this bag or any other material. So I guess the rest of the morning will be off. Alright guys, I think the oil has been sufficiently absorbed into the surface and it's starting to rain outside. Okay, right, here is how it looks like now. I'm going to apply some finishing. Okay, finishing is to protect the leather, to apply an additional layer. This is actually acrylic based finishing. It's raining outside, so it's probably safer later to use this to kind of help the drying. If you do not use that, sometimes what happens is that the acrylic would be sticky. Let's begin. Alright guys, I'm nearly done with the finishing. There is one problem actually. I stopped doing the finishing for some of the straps because I found that the color for these don't look very good. Well, not good enough yet. So what I'm going to do is I'll have to go back, re-dye, well, do some additional dyeing, and then I will proceed from there. The next part involves some pre-assembly for certain parts, like these. For connecting the D-rings require a little bit of reinforcement, and this is basically a sandwich that I have to assemble first before I can continue. And the reinforcement is actually using polyester so that it's non-stretchable. Let's go. Except it's what is known as a French seam. It is to connect these two pieces of leather together to form one piece of gusset. First by stitching and then folding them backwards like that, and then stitching again. I guess it's easier to show than to talk about it. Okay, French seam is done. Not sure how well you can see it. All that is left to do now is to hammer it a bit, and basically, yeah, it's 100% done. In case if any of you are wondering, the hammering is actually to close up the stitching holes and to basically tidy up the stitch a bit. Yeah, other than that, that doesn't serve any other functions. So next up, you're gonna have to do a partial stitch of this little piece here so that it attaches to the front later. And yeah, that's it. Stitching is done. Yep. I've also added a snap, yeah, to this attachment piece. And after this, what I'm gonna do is to attach these polyester bags, inner liner, plus a Velcro friendly layer to every single piece of material that I'm going to use. Let's go. Next, we're going to have to trim up all these excess bits and attach all the, well, accessories to these parts before continuing. Yeah, there are lots of them. Okay. What happened is that when I was trimming, I found that I made a mistake and I forgot to put in the hardware first before I stuck these on. So I had to tear all these out. Didn't shoot that in camera. Anyway, it looks like it will be possible to put this all back in place as if nothing has happened once it's done. So, well, let's get started on that. Next, we're gonna have to assemble these two pieces, the gusset and the top panel, into one piece. Let's see. Right. This should be sufficiently well attached. Now what I'm going to do is stitch along here to secure the front half of the bag. Alright guys, here, it's all stitched up. So next part is actually one of the most exciting parts about making a bag, turning them inside out. So let's see if I can get this done in one take. Difficulty with turning a bag inside out is that the bag doesn't want to be turned inside out, obviously. So yeah, harder the material, well, thicker the material, more difficult it is. And this material, this bag that I've made right now has 3 layers of material. Leather, polyester, polyester, yeah, Oxford fabric, which is waterproof, and some Velcro friendly fabric, so that I can stick some padding onto it when I need it. Okay, looks like it's turning out pretty good. Yeah, I would say okay. We'll clean up a few bits here and there. All right, let's continue with the next step. Alright guys, this is the fourth take. I hope I get this right. Okay, I've already put in the drawstrings, attachment, etc, etc. And now it's one more step left basically to attach the back panel. This piece, yeah, kind of, well, and this together. Right, let's go. Okay, attachment is done. It may seem to be a rather simple thing, but it is quite complicated. I can show you because of these areas, the corners. I don't know whether you can see them properly. They are stress points, so attaching them wasn't that easy, and you can see that it's imperfect, so I have to do some trimming after this. And I will have to leave the glue to set and everything because it's actually quite late before I stitch them tomorrow. But before that, a bit of hammering. Alright guys, I've already done, I remember what this is called, the binding. Well, the binding for the entire dual lens pouch. Now it's actually the trickiest part. Basically it's to punch the holes on the sides, but as you can see, why is it so tricky? It's because that, you see, this stress point here. What will happen is that when I try to punch the hole, it's going to be very difficult to keep it straight down. It's going to slant this way, that way, and it's going to turn a corner. So it is very tricky, and I'm actually very worried. But well, let's go anyway. I've done doing the stitching holes for the bag. It turned out to be easier than I expected. I guess it's because this bag has no foam inside, so it's actually much more flexible when I was doing basically making the holes for the stitching. The next step is to stitch the bag up, and then it will be nearly done, except for one small little thing, as you can see here. Okay, this is kind of like going across the finishing line right now. Just gonna pull this through to the front, which I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, doing things on camera is always more difficult. Okay, one more. Okay. Yep, it's coming through. This is to make sure the stitches don't come loose over time. It's gonna tie a knot. Hide it underneath the binding. Right. Don't think. Not sure if you can see this. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna cut it. And we're done. Okay, today is strap day. So what do you need? Some hardware. Alright. Reinforcement for the hardware. Straps themselves. And the lining material for the strap. Okay, got it. Anyway, this is the last section for the strap, and fun, right? It's getting darker and darker. It was hot as hell earlier, and I am not sure if my mic will pick up. It's actually started raining now. Guess that's Malaysian weather for you. Okay. There we go. Probably the last real knot of the tow camera pouch. Yeah. But there's still a lot of work to do, as they say in photography. What differentiates a good photo and a great photo are the details. So I've got to clean everything up, kind of give everything a bit of layer of a shine or whatever you call it, and then we'll finally be done. Yeah. Well, I guess we are done. No, we are not. The eagle eye among you. But I spotted something. No holes here. Well, anyway, one last step, and it will be all really officially done. After some editing magic, here we have the holes. So does it fit? Let's see. Oh, yes. Does it fit? All that's left to do now is a photo shoot for the bag, I guess.